Unit trusts or fixed deposits? Which is better for government employees? Now, I've been helping Lerato with her exit from government employment, and she posed a very interesting question to me. And she said to me, Devon, should I invest my money in a unit trust or would a fixed deposit be a better choice? Now, fixed deposits offer you a sense of security with guaranteed returns, while unit trusts can give you the potential for higher growth, but it does come with a bit more risk. So, which is the one that's right for you? Now, I've seen a number of members make mistakes with this, so please be sure that you watch until the end of this video. In today's video, I'm going to be covering 5 areas for you to consider when making that decision of choosing either the unit trust or a fixed deposit. Now, there'll be a bonus 6 tip at the end, so make sure that you stay to the end. I'm Dhevan Naicker, your Retire vs. Resign specialist, and I help government employees like yourself make informed decisions that support your goals, whether you're planning to retire, resign, or invest your savings for your future. Remember to click the subscribe button so that you never miss any of these important videos or tips, and they're available to you as soon as we produce them. Let's go with today's video. Now, one of the areas that I want you to consider, first thing that I want you to keep in mind, and this is the case for any investment that you can be doing, right, is always consider what is your reason for saving, right? What's the purpose for saving? And might be various things, okay? So I'll put some options for you here. Maybe you are setting up an emergency fund. An emergency fund is basically a fund where you have access to some money, quick access to money, touch which should some type of an emergency arise, right? For example, your washing machine packs up. It's not something that you have in your monthly expenses that you want to cater for every single month. It's really an emergency. So this is what an emergency fund is. That's one thing, right? Maybe your reason for saving could be that you want to put a deposit for a vehicle, right, at some point in the future, or maybe you even want to purchase a vehicle outright, not right now, but you're saving for some point in the future. It could be that you want to settle debt. So you're just saving because you want to settle some type of debt in the future. It could be that you're using this for holidays, right? Whatever your reason is, you want to be clear with that in the beginning. You want to be crystal clear with that in the beginning because that forms the basis, right? It determines how long you're going to be investing for, what type of risk you're going to have inside of the investment. Let's use an example, right? Because the second thing that I want to actually talk to you about is how long do you want that money to be saved for? Now, let's use an example and we'll start off with the holiday fund, right? So here, let's assume that you want to keep some money aside and it's for holidays and you're not really going on holidays now. You have some cash with you. Your holiday is in 2 years' time, right? Or 3 years' time. So because you know you're heading out for a holiday and you know, hey, that holiday is happening in 3 years' time, it then puts some perspective for you, right? Because you know now that you have 3 years with which to invest. Now, again, I'm using holiday as an example. Please, when you're working through this, you can pause the video, start to make notes of the things that you want to save for, and then the length of time for each one, right? So, for example, an emergency fund, you want quick access. It needs to be quick access. Whereas with the holidays, you might not need it straight away. You might be able to save for a year or 2 or 3, right? Depending on the situation. So when you want to use this money becomes critically important because, as I said at the start of the video, when you're comparing the two between unit trusts and fixed deposits offer you some type of security. Whereas unit trusts, depending on the option that you choose, they are more exposed to the markets. So you could have the fluctuation. Now, what you want to avoid here, and please make sure you do not actually promise me, right? In the comments, type in, I promise. Promise me that you're not going to make this mistake. I've seen this happening with so many government employees. If you are aiming for something like an emergency fund, right? You need quick access to your money. You do not want to take any risk with this money. You agree? You can't. Because you never know at the time when an emergency happens whether you're going to have the funds there or not, right? So imagine you put your money into an emergency fund, it's a unit trust, markets dip. Now suddenly you're expecting you had a certain value and it's less than what you thought you had, and you're faced with an emergency. So keep in mind the term becomes critically important. So here, for an emergency fund, you're looking for quick access. Right? There needs to be quick access, And usually we don't want to have any type of loss, right, when it comes to an emergency fund, because that would create a problem, isn't it? When it comes to the holidays, if you have a longer period with which to work with, this is where you can consider both options, the unit trust or the fixed deposit. Unit trust can be beneficial if you do not have enough money for the holiday, right? So unit trust can expose you to a little bit higher risk, again, depending on the option that you choose. And then the returns can be more attractive than fixed deposit, which means if you are short for the holidays, the unit trust can help you to cover that gap up very quickly, right? Because again, depending on the nature of where these funds are getting invested. Next factor that I want you to consider here is, do you want access to your funds? Now, we spoke about it just now, and I said when it comes to an emergency fund, you need quick access to this. And why this becomes such a crucial factor is we understand a bit about the markets. Now, you don't have to know anything about investing, you don't have to know how markets work, all of that, but this is just a basic understanding so that you're more empowered when you're sitting with this type of decision, right? Again, if we're connecting on a one-on-one, I'll walk you through all of this because I know your full set of circumstances. But for now, just understanding the concepts becomes quite important. So because we know markets ebb and flow, if you know that you're going to be accessing your money, say in a few months' time, 6 months to a year, and you have this type of risk happening, that can be dangerous, you agree? Because you don't know whether the money is going to be high at the time that you access it, or the money is going to be low at the time that you access it. This is why you want to keep in mind, hey, do you really need access to this money? Sometimes you might decide, and again, I've advised members, but again, depending on the situation, where we split the money, right? We take some of this money, we go into investment A, some into investment B. We run them over different periods because we have different goals, different purpose for this money. Right? Sometimes we want to access a portion of the money sooner. Sometimes we don't want to access a portion of it sooner. So again, depending on your set of circumstances. Now, if you do want to have access to your money, then you want to take this key factor into account, which is risk. Right? How much of risk is in your money? Right? And when is that risk likely to be mitigated? Right? When is it likely to be moved away? Now, usually if you're going with unit trust investments, a unit trust investment and the fund itself, they would have some type of indication to tell you how long you should be investing in that investment, right? Meaning they would give you something called investment horizon. Okay. Big word. You don't have to remember that. Every time you see this, if you're reading the documents and you come across investment horizon, just ignore it. I'm going to replace it with one 4-letter word for you, term. That's all it is, right? So your investment horizon is the term. How long do you want to keep that investment? So you can analyze this information upfront when you're comparing the different types of unit trusts. You can analyze, actually your financial advisor or planner should be the one doing this, by showing to you in advance, hey, listen, you want to invest your money for a 1-year period. Here, I'm choosing unit trusts that are suitable for 1-year period. Which means you are then in a position of more control, you agree? Because if, say you wanting to invest your money for a 1-year period, and your advisor shows you an investment, and the minimum investment term is 3 years, immediately you can spot that and you know that it's not the right one. All good? This is all about empowering you, right? Okay, next you want to pay close attention to this, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time with it because costs are quite a key factor. Now, there's 2 different ways in which the cost situation applies, right? Let's actually split the screen, and we'll cover each one separately. We look at the first option, and the first option is in terms of unit trusts. Keep in mind, when we do any type of unit trust investment, the nature of it is not via a bank, or even if you happen to go via a bank, it's going via some financial planner or advisor. There is an upfront fee for this, right? And the upfront fee is 3.45%. Now, it's up to 3.45%. So let's take a closer look at this. Assume that you want to put away R1 million. R1 million. That means before your million gets invested, there's an upfront fee of 34,500 that gets deducted, including the tax, right? Oh, well, this is the fee at the time of me recording this video. So 3.45% including that, that's 34,500. So keep in mind, when you start your investment, it is not starting with 1 million in that unit trust, right? It is going to be started with 1 million minus 34,500. So you're starting off with a little less than what you would have initially anticipated. And then your first goal is you want to make up this money, right? You want to make up the cost, get yourself back on par to R1 million, which is where you started. All good so far? In contrast now, when we have a look at it, let's say on your fixed deposit perspective, the bank does not operate in that perspective, or does not operate with initial cost. What the bank is going to be doing is this. The bank would be taking your funds, so they would take the $1 million that you are offering to them. Pardon me. So here's your $1 million. And they would offer some type of lending to that, right? Meaning they would lend that to someone else. And it could be in the form of a bond, it could be in the form of a loan, it could be in the form of credit cards, overdrafts, but they lend at a higher rate of interest. And then say, for example, here it's 11% interest, and they might then offer you a certain type of interest, say 7%. Now, in the bank, on these fixed deposits, you do not have an initial upfront cost that you want to be mindful for. The bank is actually making the costs on the flip side, right? They're making their profit on this end, where they're lending your money at a higher rate, they're giving you a lower rate, and they're pocketing the balance. On unit trust perspective, though, that's not how it operates. Whatever the growth is, all of the growth comes to you. So if it's a 20% return, you're getting that. If it's a 10% return, you get that. If it's a minus 5% return, you get that. So you get whatever the return is, and they will charge you a cost. There's an upfront cost as well as an ongoing cost. So keep in mind in the beginning, costs play a big factor when you're working with us. And then lastly, I quickly want to talk to you from a tax perspective. Now, quick one here, from a tax perspective, they both operate in the same way. Whether it's unit trust, whether it is you having access to a fixed deposit investment, whatever that growth is, it is taxable. The growth is taxable. That growth would be added onto your income, and that could push you up the tax scale, right? So if you are earning interest, the interest that you earn will be added to your income and taxed accordingly. If you are earning growth on the shares, capital gains tax, there's a percentage that gets included into your income, and you tax accordingly. So both of them are taxable. Growth is taxed on both sides, right? Whether you're using unit trust or the fixed deposit. Comment below, let me know if this has helped to give you clarity on both options, whether to choose fixed deposit or unit trust, or even to choose both, right? Remember, it's a decision that must be done with your financial planner using holistic financial advice. I will see you in the next video.